Mark Carney really showed Donald Trump what it means to be elbows up all the time. And in Mark Carney's case, with his reasoned meeting with Donald Trump yesterday, elbows up means elbows up on the table, along with his knees and ass in the air, because holy Christ, man, was that embarrassing. Hey, boomers who thought that the Liberal Party of Canada, who has capitulated to the United States every single time they've had the opportunity to, if you thought that Mark Carney was going to be the hard-nosed politician to really deal with Trump, he was going to stick it to Trump, bro. Were you satisfied with just that little pansy with his crossed legs and his arms just on his knees getting amogged like a mother in front of all of the press and the world to see? Were you satisfied with that? You really rested assured in your voting values? God damn it, man. Boomers, you can't be done quick enough. But yeah, now everybody is doing their knee-jerk reaction, and bro, it's exactly what we anticipated. We all knew this was exactly what was going to happen. I'm not a big fan of Pierre Poilievre. That's even how you pronounce his name. And frankly, I don't even want to remember how to pronounce his name, because I don't want him anywhere near the Conservative Party of Canada moving forward, because this just also came out yesterday, okay? Joe Rogan says that he offered to have Canadian candidate Pierre Poilievre on the podcast, but Pierre's team said no because they felt it would be too problematic. Wow, when was the last time we heard that same rhetoric coming out of a campaign turning down an offer to do the Joe Rogan podcast? How well did that work out for them? I'm so glad that Pierre Harris lost, and I'm so glad that this is a liberal minority, so there's a possibility we could be going to the polls within the next few years, but we'll see, man, especially because, the way that Carney, how he made the entire campaign about being tough on Trump, he just immediately backpedals and looks a bitch the moment that he's in the same room as Trump. Bro, I don't think that his constituents are going to be all that happy with him, and as somebody out west, couldn't be happier to see this fraud exposed. All of Prime Minister Mark Carney's big talk about standing up to Donald Trump was exposed Tuesday in a bombastic sham. At a meeting in the White House with the president, Carney smiled happily when Trump talked about winning the election for him. When the topic of Canada becoming the 51st state was raised, Carney declared that would never happen. Would any Prime Minister of Canada have said any less? But when the president talked about shutting down the Canadian car industry and refusing to buy our steel and aluminum, the Prime Minister was silent. No pushback, no standing up for Canadian interests. No. And it even got more embarrassing than that, because guess what? We got clips, okay? I just wanted to read that off because that was one of the other clips I had pulled up, but honestly, man, I think we're going to be able to get the gist of this stuff, just how Trump absolutely bullied Carney, which is so fantastic. Gone was Carney's fiery rhetoric from the campaign trail, and in its place was the mild-mannered, tranquil banker. No one should have expected the Prime Minister to be rude, dismissive, or combative when meeting the president, even if on the campaign trail that's exactly how Carney behaved. Wasn't that in his acceptance speech on the night of the election? He said that, the old ways are done. Our old ways of dealing with the United States is over. We are gonna uphold our Canadian values and say we're sorry and do whatever the orange man wants. Was that what he was going for? Because that's the way that it came across. But neither should the Prime Minister be so passive and meek. During the meeting, Trump forcefully laid out his economic vision, no matter the obvious harm caused to Canada, and no matter the Prime Minister was sitting next to him. Trump clearly has a liking for Carney, but pleasing the president may not get the results Canada expects or wants. And okay, in a vacuum, you might think that why would a Republican be touting his great and even favorable relationship with a liberal? Like, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, it's because Carney is exceptionally pliable. He is a politician through and through. He is shaped like whatever container he is poured into. That's exactly what learned minds assessed him as on the campaign trail, and that's exactly who he proved himself to be. I'm so glad TDS was so endemic for all of the eastern provinces. Thanks, guys. We're so happy you couldn't check your emotions for 10 seconds. When Trump congratulated Carney on his win, he added, I think it was the greatest thing that happened to him. And he's right. Fucking bro, this is just embarrassing. Time and time again during the election, Carney brought up Trump as the boogeyman who would devour Canada, and only he could stop him. We're facing the biggest crisis of our lifetimes, Carney said during the campaign. Donald Trump is trying to fundamentally change the world economy, the trading system. But really, what he is trying to do to Canada, he's trying to break us so the United States can own us. They want our land, they want our resources, they want our water, and they want our country. Well, let's just go back here, and Trump talked about not wanting anything from our car industry, refusing to buy our steel and aluminum. So that whole idea that he wants our resources, not exactly an accurate assessment. They want our water. Are you trying to lay claim on the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans? Is that also what you're doing? Because I think there are, 4 states on the West Coast that have access to the Pacific and a whole handful that have access to the Atlantic. I don't really think that you have, a leg to stand on that one, but all right. Yeah, with that kind of belligerence, that heightened the fear of too many Canadians. Yep, too many people are too fucking stupid and shouldn't be allowed to vote. Because this right here is, in fact, the perfect example. Me just simply reading out a few assessments and a couple of quotes might not be able to really drive this home, but I think that this clip right here really does seal the deal.
Mark, would you like to say a few words?
Well, thank you, Mr. President. I'm on the edge of my seat, actually, for the big announcement. But thank you for your hospitality and above all, for your leadership. You're a transformational president, focus on the economy with a relentless focus on the American worker.
Oh, wow. What was that again? Okay, his relentless way that he wants to fundamentally change the world economy, and you're praising him for that to his face. That's very interesting, huh? Anyways.
Securing your borders, ending the scourge of fentanyl and other opioids, and securing the world. And I've been elected with my colleagues here, with the help of my colleagues here. I'm going to spread the credit.
Just look at the way that he's squirming in that chair like a fucking 6-year-old. It's absolutely embarrassing. Like, I'm not a supporter of Mark Carney at all. Okay, never, ever, ever get that twisted. But just his body language, okay, the way that he's turned into Trump, the way that Trump is just squared up to the camera, just the way that he's holding his hands and fidgeting and trying to just do all these unnatural movements. You've seen that whenever he was out there doing those stupid elbows up dances that make me want to, we won't even delve down that path. But he's a nervous man, looking down, not even looking Trump in the eyes, which is wild, man.
To transform Canada with a similar focus on the economy, securing our borders, again on fentanyl, much greater focus on defense and security, securing the Arctic and developing the Arctic. And the history of Canada and the U.S. is we're stronger when we work together, and there's many opportunities to work together. And I look forward to, addressing some of those issues that we have, but also finding those areas of mutual cooperation so we can move forward.
That's great. Very nice. Thank you very much. It's a very nice statement.
Yeah, no, but we were supposed to be upending the apple cart. This wasn't supposed to be business as usual. This was supposed to be stern Mark Carney. Yeah, really? Well, in regards to that apple cart, the only thing that he was concerned about was throwing Chrystia Freeland under it. And again, this is another person that I don't like at all whatsoever. She is a complete and total fraud, a scumbag to the core. But this is somebody that Mark Carney worked with for years, somebody who he referred to as a colleague and a trusted advisor. And the moment that Trump justifiably and very accurately assessed her as being a nasty woman, she's very nasty, she just about cost us everything, he just sat there and nodded his stupid fucking bobble head.
Something you said on USMCA. Is the U.S. prepared to walk away from that pact?
But what pact?
USMCA.
No, it's fine. It's there. It's good. We use it for certain things. It's there. We have the USMCA is a good deal for everybody. I won't say this about Mark, but I didn't like his predecessor. I didn't like a person that worked for. She was terrible, actually. She was a terrible person, and she really hurt that deal very badly because she tried to take advantage of the deal and she didn't get away with it. You know what I'm talking about. But I had a.
Yo, just that little flippant remark, I'm talking about, and while he's not in frame, the fact that he didn't want to speak up for her, yeah, very much speaks to the character and quality of Carney.
We had a bad relationship having to do with the fact that we disagreed with the way they viewed the deal, and we ended it. We ended that relationship pretty much. The USMCA is great for all countries. It's good for all countries. We do have a negotiation coming up over the next year or so to adjust it or terminate it.
Mr. President, I'll say a word on USMCA if I may, Mr. President. It is a basis for a broader negotiation. Some things about it are going to have to change. And part of the way you've conducted these tariffs has taken advantage of existing aspects of USMCA. So it's going to have to change. There's other elements that are come, and that's part of what we're going to discuss.
Well, some of it's going to have to change, okay? You think that he speaks with any authority, okay? way that Trump just laid that out, even if you don't know all the ins and outs, like I'm not going to profess to be, you know, an expert on the USMCA. All I know it was a replacement for the North American Free Trade Agreement that was negotiated during Trump's first term. But I'm about as learned on this as Mark Carney is, which, wow, I'm so glad this was a one-issue election. So glad. But while Carney is out there fighting the good fight, trying to real stick it to Trump, okay, we got some developments on the home front, okay, out here in Alberta. Albertans will not stand idle while Ottawa continues to block our resources that decimate our economy and violate our constitutional rights. After a decade of destructive Liberal NDP policies that have cost us over $500 billion in lost investment and hundreds of thousands of jobs, the time for real action has come. We are standing up for Alberta's future with strength and resolve. We are taking bold steps to protect our province. Number 1, pursuing a new Alberta Accord within Canada. Number 2, demanding guaranteed port access for Alberta energy and resources. Number 3, calling for the repeal of the harmful federal laws like C-69 NICE and the emissions cap. Number 4, requiring Alberta's consent on any export restrictions of our resources. Number 5, granting Alberta the same federal transfers, yes, talking about equalization payments, as BC, Ontario, and Quebec. Number 6, launching the Alberta Next panel to explore long-term options for economic and constitutional protections from Ottawa. We'll be coming back to that very, very shortly. Number 7, preparing for a 2026 referendum on key proposals that emerge from these discussions. You know, just double that back and tie that up with the previous point. And finally, defending Indigenous rights and treaties without compromise. Yeah, we can go ahead and just leave that off. But anyways, we did not pick this fight, but Alberta will finish it and emerge stronger than ever. Yeah, you can go ahead and read the details, but that's the bullet points of an address that Danielle Smith, Premier and future Prime Minister or Governor of Alberta, Premier, promises separation referendum in 2026 if petition signatures warrant. And bro, we could go ahead and take a look at some of those off-brand change.org petitions. And yeah, we already know that they've eclipsed 260,000 the last time we looked at it. So the will of the people is clearly there. The desire to seek fair and equitable representation from Ottawa, or just simply getting the fuck up out of here, is very much on the table. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says that she will hold a referendum on provincial separation next year if citizens gather the required signatures on a petition. Smith, in a live stream address Monday, says that she wants a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada, but there is a growing number of Albertans who are unhappy with Confederation, and are organizing petitions to push for an exit. The vast majority of these individuals are not fringe voices to be marginalized or vilified. Oh, just harkening back to 2 years and 6 months ago. So great. They are loyal Albertans. They're frustrated, and they have every reason to be. If the speech comes a week after Smith's United Conservative government and introduced legislation that, if passed, would sharply reduce the bar petitioners need to meet to trigger a provincial referendum. The bill, introduced the day after the federal election, would change citizen-initiated referendum rules, then require the petition signed by 10% of eligible voters in previous general elections, down from 20% to total registered voters. Applicants would also get 120 days rather than 90 to collect the 177,000 signatures. And yeah, the moment that I hear of any sort of concerted effort to get everybody together to vote on something like this, will be the moment that I sign one of these motherfucker petitions. Because if we're going to get down to brass tacks, if we're just going to get proper negotiating power, Mark Carney is going to have to realize that Alberta is serious. And if he loses this province, he loses all of his money. He loses a vast majority of his resources. He loses one of the most productive provinces in decades. And for the first time in a long time, shit like this is viable, so the West isn't constantly under the thumb of the tit-sucking East. I love to see it, and I hope to update you with something very positive in the very near future. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.